I entirely beg you, people and government of the DPR Korea, for your forgiveness. Please, I have made the worst mistake of my life.
How would you feel if your every move was watched and the idea of escaping to freedom was just a fantasy? Well, this is what's happening in North Korea, where even thinking about escape could lead to death. With its heavily guarded borders, advanced surveillance systems, and ruthless punishment for those who dare to flee, North Korea has become the ultimate challenge for those seeking a better life. From being watched day and night, to the severe consequences of stepping out of line, life in North Korea is something many of us can't even begin to comprehend. But here's a fact that brings it into perspective. Over 1,000 North Koreans risk their lives each year trying to escape, despite knowing that getting caught means torture or worse. Now, imagine that against all odds, some choose to defy this control. Why do they risk everything? What makes this country so hard to escape? And what are the desperate measures that some North Koreans take to break free from its iron grip? Let's uncover the shocking truths behind this country's reputation as the hardest place on earth to flee. In this video, we are going to learn about the ingenious and daring ways people break free from North Korea's iron grip. You'll find out just how hard life has to be for someone to take these risks, and what happens to those who make it out, and to those who don't. In North Korea, life under the government's watchful eye isn't just tough, it's terrifying. Imagine being forced to serve in the military for at least a decade, no matter what you want for your future. That's just the beginning of the harsh reality for North Koreans. There's virtually no freedom of speech. Speaking out against the government or trying to access any news that isn't controlled by the state can land you in serious trouble. Now, think about how controlled every aspect of your life would be. The government runs all the media, so the only news and entertainment you can access are what the government allows. Imagine if the only shows you could watch or the only news you could read were all approved by one group with total power. It's a real-life scenario there. But the scariest part? The punishments. North Korea is notorious for its extreme measures. If you step out of line, not only could you be thrown into a prison camp to face hard labor and brutal conditions, but the government also uses public executions to make examples out of people. They're not just tough on crime, they're unforgiving to the point of being inhumane. Foreigners aren't safe either. They're watched all the time, and if they break even a small rule, they can face severe consequences. Remember the story of an American student, Otto Frederick Warmbier, who just tried to take a propaganda poster? He ended up sentenced to 15 years of hard labor and returned home in a condition that led to his death soon after. It's these constant threats and the dire lack of freedoms that drive many North Koreans to dream about leaving, despite the enormous risks. Life there isn't just hard, it's like living in a high-security prison where you're always being watched and any wrong move could be your last.
북한에서는 개인이 자가용을 소지할 수가 없고 차 운전이라는 걸 이제 꿈도 꿔보지 못했습니다.
So, escaping from North Korea is incredibly tough, and no matter which way you try, it's super risky. In fact, the chances of making it out successfully are often less than 10%. Sometimes it's as low as 1%. One of the main escape routes is through the DMZ, or the Demilitarized Zone, that lies between South Korea and North Korea. You might think it's simple. Just get to the border and jump across. But it's nowhere near that easy. Let us paint a picture for you. The DMZ is about 250 kilometers long and guarded by roughly 2 million troops, making it the most heavily fortified border in the world. If you try to run across, you could step on a landmine, get electrocuted, or be shot by border guards. It's literally one of the deadliest ways to try to leave North Korea.
Because our military build-up is really strong. We have nuclear, we have H-bomb, we have all kind of military armed service.
But believe it or not, it's not totally impossible. Mostly, it's North Korean soldiers stationed at the border who manage to cross. They wait for a chance like a foggy day when guards can't see far. Then they make a run for it. For ordinary people, though, this route is nearly a no-go. The chance of making it safely to the other side? Less than 1%. The next escape route is by sea, which might seem a bit easier than crossing the DMZ, but it's still packed with dangers. Most boats available are just paddle boats. The faster engine boats are mostly for the North Korean military. Without real navigation tools, it's super easy to get lost at sea or get smashed by huge waves. The North Korean government knows that people try to escape this way, so they've beefed up their naval patrols in these waters. That means even if you do brave the sea, there's a good chance you'll get caught. If you're thinking of escaping by boat, you could head out from the east or west coast aiming for South Korea. Over there, North Korean refugees are welcomed as citizens, giving you a safe place to finally breathe easy. However, if you land in China, it's a whole different story. There, North Korean defectors are seen as illegal economic migrants. Since China is buddies with North Korea, they send escapees right back to face a terrifying fate. There's also a slim chance to reach Japan if you head out far enough, like 114.8 miles from the west coast. The Japanese won't send you back to North Korea. Some desperate folks have even tried to swim or float over on tire tubes. Making it to Japan means you can go anywhere from there. But dodging the North Korean sea patrols on such a long and risky journey? It's almost like trying the impossible. So, if you are curious to learn about these brave escapes and sharing these stories, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and hit the bell icon. This way, you will be notified when we upload a new video. Moving on, another escape route from North Korea is heading north into China across the Yalu River. This might sound a bit safer than the DMZ, but trust me, it's still packed with dangers. The river often has North Korean snipers watching, and sadly, it's not uncommon to see bodies floating downstream, victims of failed escape attempts. North Korean soldiers hide everywhere, even in underground holes, ready to catch or shoot anyone trying to escape. But let's say you make it to China, avoiding all these dangers. Sadly, your troubles don't just stop there. Often, North Korean escapees are caught by Chinese police and sent right back to face severe punishment in North Korea. Or worse, they might end up in the hands of traffickers on the black market. Men might be forced into labor, and women could be pushed into prostitution or sold as brides to local men. The best bet for safety in China is trying to get asylum at the South Korean Embassy or the UN High Commissioner for Refugees in Beijing. But it's not that easy. Chinese police keep a close eye on these places, ready to arrest any North Koreans they find trying to get in. If you're lucky enough to make it inside, you're safe for a while. But eventually you'll need to leave to fly to South Korea, and that's when you risk being caught by Chinese authorities again. Apart from that, there are still other ways left, but again, they are not easy at all. Alright, so another option is to head to a country that's friendly with South Korea, like Vietnam, Cambodia, Myanmar, or Thailand. Out of these, Thailand is your safest bet because the risk of being sent back to North Korea is much lower there if you get caught by the authorities. Once in Thailand, you can make your way to the South Korean embassy, and from there, things get a bit easier. But remember, you still have to travel through China to get there. Another daring escape route is through Mongolia via the Gobi Desert. The Gobi is a massive, harsh area known for extreme temperatures and dangerous wildlife like snow leopards, bears, and wolves. It's definitely not a safe stroll. Yet, its closer proximity to Mongolia, a country that has been somewhat welcoming to North Korean refugees and often sends them on to South Korea, makes it a tempting route. However, increased border security over the years has made this path less traveled. The last, and perhaps the safest way out, is through what's known as Asia's Underground Railroad. This isn't a real railroad, but a secret network of Christians and others committed to helping refugees. They smuggle people out of China, through Southeast Asia's Golden Triangle, and finally to freedom in South Korea or even the United States. It's a treacherous journey, often starting deep inside China. If you're caught before you can be smuggled out, the consequences are dire. Despite these overwhelming odds and severe consequences, the desire for freedom is powerful. Many North Koreans still take the enormous risk to escape, driven by the hope of a better life somewhere else, where they can speak freely and live without constant fear. But even if someone manages to pull off the nearly impossible feat of escaping, the consequences are chilling. Once the government finds out, they don't just go after you, they punish your entire family. Not just your parents or siblings, but 3 generations of your family could end up in labor camps. It's hard to even imagine, right? You find your freedom, but your family suffers terrible abuse because of it. This is psychological warfare at its cruelest, designed to instill fear and keep everyone in line. And that was the harrowing realities and desperate escapes from North Korea. It's clear that the quest for freedom can drive people to take unimaginable risks. But it raises an important question. What would you be willing to risk for your freedom? Share your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear what freedom means to you. If you found today's video enlightening and want to keep up with more stories like this, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. You won't want to miss what's coming next as we continue to explore the most challenging and inspiring stories from around the world. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.